What's going on, guys? I'm Latronus, and today I'm going to bring you 5 PvP tips you can do with your character before you even enter Cyrodiil. These are all things that massive PvPers, I guarantee, do every single one of these things. Maybe not 100% the last one, but the first 4 things I'll talk about in this, every single PvPer should be doing, and any serious PvPer probably is already doing. So all these things, as I said, are going to be things you can do before you even enter Cyrodiil at all to improve your character and improve your chances once you get into Cyrodiil. If you guys are looking for more like an active list on like combat mechanics and how to really play once you're in the trenches, I'm going to have a video up probably later this week about that. But I thought, let's get your character ready first with this video, and then that next video we'll talk about, like the PvP mechanics and combat and stuff like that. All right, guys, so the first thing on the list is food. Food is probably the most important thing on this entire list. Food is going to take your health from, like, my Nightblade build. It has 16,000 health. It takes him up to 24,000 health and gives me 5,000 more stamina. So not only is food going to allow you to be more tanky, it's also going to allow you to output more damage, because a lot of damage is based off of how big your stamina pool is or how big your magicka pool is. So if you're a tank, you might want to run 100% health food. If you're a magicka user, like a DPS guy, or a healer, you're going to want to run magicka / health food. And then a stamina DPS is also going to want to run, or is going to want to run max health / max stamina food, unless your max health is already above 20,000. But yeah, everyone in Cyrodiil is probably using food. So if you see guys with like 35,000 health and you're like, how the crap does he do that? It's with food. If you see guys that are popping off ability after ability after ability and you're like, my resources are out after I hit 5 skills, it's because they're using food. So you guys definitely want to find a food that you enjoy and one that you use. I use a max health / max stamina. I'll throw it up on screen right now. It's really not that expensive. I think it costs like 6 or 7 gold to craft it. And if you buy it from other players, if you buy it from a nice person, usually they only charge you like 10 or 15 gold per piece. So it is pretty dang cheap to get food. And if you're just running around traveling and doing PvE content, you probably already have food in your inventory. So literally any food will help you in PvP. So when you go into PvP, pop food as soon as you get in there. Next up on the list is potions. Even if you're just running, a health potion or a magicka potion or a stamina potion, overall it's going to help you out a lot. Your health goes down really low, hurry, pop a potion, and all of a sudden you got 5,000 more health or whatever. With stamina, the same thing. If you get low on your stamina pool, you run out of stamina, pop that potion, boom, you have your stamina back. I do recommend, however, going with some sort of, more in-depth combination potion. The one I use on my Nightblade right now that you guys will see in a build in the future is a 20% increase to weapon damage, and it also gives me back stamina. So if you guys can get a little more complicated potion to help you with damage or to help you with health recovery or stamina recovery or magic recovery, there's potions out there for all that stuff. So I would buy a bunch of those, or just as many as you can, and run those in PvP. Like my weapon thing, I pop it right before I get into a battle, so I have 20% increased weapon damage for probably the entire battle. It lasts like 25 seconds. So yeah, potions can be very helpful if you use them in the right situations. So yeah, definitely slot potions before you go into PvP. If you can't afford potions, it's not the worst thing in the world. I would just throw in, everyone should have plenty of health potions, magicka potions, stamina potions. So if you go into PvP and you're like, oh, I'm lacking stamina, throw a stamina potion on and then pop the stamina potion when you can. So next up, this one may seem a little obvious, but the more skill points you have and the higher the level you are, you're going to have a better chance in PvP situations, simply because passives are a big deal in PvP. Just to throw one out there, for the medium armor skill line, there's a passive where you dodge roll and then you get major expedition and you run so freaking fast after you dodge roll. And that can be an amazing escape. And if you don't have enough skill points to afford that, or not a high enough level in medium armor to be able to afford that, then a lot of medium armor guys, like if you're like a Nightblade like me, you just don't have an escape. So you can't get out of battle fast enough. And then there's just like little things like access to higher skills. A lot of the times higher skills and skill lines are better for PvP, or there's like a lot of skills like momentum for the two-handed skill line. you unlock a level like 45, and it's like one of the best two-handed skills to get. And if you're running two-handed, that's like the skill you want to get. So the higher the level you are, the better chance you're going to have in PvP. If you are a low level, I recommend grinding out sky shards, and I also recommend trying to get to level 25. Once you get to level 25, your PvP build and how PvP feels and how well you do in PvP, I feel is increased a ton once you get around the level 25 range. And then once you get, you know, around in the 40s for under level 50, PvP is so much fun because you just feel super, super powerful. Next up, the fourth thing on the list is armor sets. And a lot of lower level guys just don't really have access to armor sets, but literally any armor set you can get your hands on is going to help you. Like even if you just have like a 2-set bonus or a 3-set bonus, that 2-set bonus may give you 1,000 extra health, or that 3-set bonus may give you, you know, 800 more stamina or weapon damage, or whatever it may be. That's just an extra little thing that's going to make you deal more damage or have more survivability in PvP. So armor sets are a very big deal. Even if it's a 100% PvE oriented armor set, it's going to help you in PvP a lot more than just wearing a bunch of random armor pieces going into PvP. And for this one, if you are low level, say you're just level 10, you're just barely getting in Cyrodiil, you're like, I have no access to armor sets. Or if you're low level and you're like, you know, all these armor sets people are grinding out, or I can't afford to pay somebody to craft me an armor set, then what I recommend is go to Fungal Grotto and queue as all 3 of the roles. If you have a healing spell, then queue for all 3 of the roles. If you don't, queue for DPS and tank. This is because the Fungal Grotto dungeon is made for level 10 characters, so it doesn't matter if you queue as a DPS, a healer, or a tank. Any group of level 10 should be able to get through Fungal Grotto very, very easily, and all 3 of the Fungal Grotto sets you can grind out in probably about 1 to 2 hours, depending on how fast you grind out the dungeons. But if you're a stamina build, one of the best stamina armor sets is available in Fungal Grotto 1, which is the Viper Sting set. It probably took me like an hour and a half one time when I grinded it through to get the full Viper Sting 5-piece set, and it's one of the best sets right now in PvP. And then the Magicka set that's in there is really, really good. And then the tank set is also pretty dang good. So if you're low level, go to Fungal Grotto 1, grind out that dungeon, get yourself an armor set before you head into Cyrodiil. I guarantee it'll help your guy feel a lot more powerful, and it'll give you just a little more resources, a little more damage, and it'll just make the PvP experience a little bit more fun. So the last thing we have on the list, the 5th thing on the list, is probably going to take the most time to go through. Well, actually, maybe not. So I'm just going to go over a very generalized PvP bar setup. So PvP is very different from PvE, and there's stuff in PvE, like skills and stuff you would never use in PvP. So I'm just going to go over a very super generalized bar setup, where you can just go through this and be like, okay, do I have one of these? Do I have one of these? Do I have one of these? If you can check off all these things, then your setup is going to be pretty dang decent. For the first skill, you want something that's a self-healing buff, or some sort of heal, like a self-heal for yourself. I think I said yourself like 15 times right there. Some sort of buff. So whether it's like an armor buff, or some sort of self-heal or overtime heal, or like health recovery, or what have you, something to make your guy a little bit more tanky, to give yourself a little bit more health, to give yourself an overshield, like some sort of like overtime heals are the ones that I usually go to, where you can throw an overtime heal right before you go into battle, and then the entire time you're battling, you're getting ticks of health for like, 5 to 8 seconds of the battle. So anything like that's going to help you a lot, going to help you feel like you can stay alive a little bit more. The second thing you want is some sort of damage buff. An example of this is Momentum, which gives you, I think it's Major Brutality. I could be wrong on that. I'm going to have to go check. But it gives you Major Brutality, granting like 20% extra damage or something. I don't really remember the exact description of Momentum. I'm sorry. But yeah, just some sort of damage buff, some sort of thing that's like increases your penetration against a target, like puts Major Defile on them for 15 seconds or whatever, increasing your spell penetration or your weapon penetration, something that makes the other target weaker so you can deal more damage, or something that buffs you up so you can deal more damage. And pretty much every single class should have some sort of damage buff built into them, and if they don't, I know the two-handed skill line has a really good one. It's called Momentum. You guys should definitely check that one out. And then so the third thing you're going to want to definitely have in one of your bars is a knockdown. And now the knockdowns are so freaking important in this game. Whether your knockdown is an actual knockdown, or if it's a stun, or if it's some type of fear, you definitely want to have something on your bar. Say some guy comes out of the darkness and you just don't feel like you have the ability to fight him. You can stick him to the ground, you know, run away, get to some allies, you know, run through like a bunch of rocks and hide. Knockdowns are so freaking helpful. Or if you're like out ganking people and some guy's riding up on his horse, you can nail him off his horse, nail him to the ground. And then just deal a whole bunch of damage while he's helpless on the ground. Or if they do break out of it, then their stamina is going to be way smaller than before they got knocked down. So if they're a stamina build, then they're going to have a lot less skills they can put out before they're completely out of stamina. So knockdowns are so freaking important. And if you have none of the other things on this little list I'm giving you, have a knockdown. Trust me, it'll help you so freaking much to have a knockdown on your bar. So the next thing you're going to want to have is a very high single target DPS skill. This is because usually when you're fighting guys, at least when I'm fighting guys, I try to pick one guy out of the crowd and I try to damage his health down. Because if you're just looking at the whole crowd and just shooting a shot at like just a bunch of random guys, you're not going to be doing a ton of damage overall. If you focus on one guy, you can nail one guy down, kill him, and then move on to the next guy. You're going to be a lot more helpful to your group and to the people around you. So I recommend having a very high single target DPS skill that you can blast someone's health down with in a 1v1 situation, 1vx situation. Just a high DPS skill is going to help you in pretty much every situation in PvP. And then the very last skill you're going to want to have on your bar is a dot or a damage over time skill. This is very important because when you're going into battle, whether it's like a small group battle or a big group battle, being able to just throw damage out there and having some guy's health just tick down slowly is going to make your enemy think like, oh crap, I keep getting damaged, I keep getting damaged. And a lot of times, if there's like a guy standing up on a wall, you hit him with like poison arrow and he ticks, his health starts ticking down, he's going to run away from the wall for a little while until he gets, you know, his health back up, and then he's going to run back to the wall. And DOTs scare people and they're so useful. So if you're going into battle, you throw your DOT on them first, or your damage over time skill onto them first. It'll start ticking their health down, and then you go in and you're fighting them, and the whole time you're fighting them, their health is getting ticked down. And even better, if you followed the health buff or the overtime healing thing, if you have like an overtime heal on your bar, then you pop your overtime heal, you hit them with a damage overtime, so their health is damaging overtime and you're healing overtime while you're also dealing damage to them. So all the combinations of all this stuff on the list is going to make you a much better player at PvP just passively, because you're just going to have a lot of utility to your character. You need a damage buff, it's there. You need a heal, it's there. If you need to knock somebody down to either get away or to damage them a ton on the ground, it's there. If you need, and when you knock somebody down, since you can only knock one person down to the ground at once, I'm getting so... When you knock somebody down, that high DPS target, that high DPS single target skill is going to allow you to blast their health down very quickly. And then damage over time skill, we already went over that one. So all these skills together are very effective. They give you a lot of utility to your character. And all of these things are only 5 skills. And you have 5 more skills you can slot, plus 2 more ultimates. So having all these things on your bar usually isn't very hard to get, and a lot of times people will have multiple damage buffs, they'll have multiple heals, because you have 5 more slots to just kind of be creative and decide what you want in there. But I would definitely have each of those 5 things on your bar before you head to PvP, and it will help you out so much. So that is going to conclude the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys have any tips of your own on how to passively make your character better at PvP, go ahead, drop them in the comments below. If you have some really good tips, I'll make sure to pin your comment so other people can see them too. I'm sure, you know, people would love to see everybody's suggestions. I know there's a lot of people that watch my channel that are like more veteran than me, and I'm sure you guys have a lot of great tips and opinions on this topic. So yeah, within the next few days, I'm going to do an active PvP tips guide, where I'm going to show you guys how exactly to fight people, 1v1 situations, 1vx situations. Hopefully it's going to be a pretty sweet video. So if you guys enjoyed the video, go ahead, drop a like. If you guys want to see more Elder Scrolls Online content, go ahead, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys next time.
Oh wow, I'm trapping on the way down. I'm grinding on like the holy rail, and now hit the slows and go ham. Pray, oh no, I cannot take this slow. I'm grinding on like the holy rail, and now hit the slows and go crawl. Yeah, race, oh wow, I'm trapping on the way down. I'm grinding on like the holy rail, and now hit the slows and go ham.